Hello, this is my entry to the Impervious.AI hackathon. It is a project I've been calling the World Computer. The idea behind it is to let any developer around the world without access to a bank account or a Stripe account or anything like that be able to monetize any API endpoint they write. And so it's very familiar to writing a function like a serverless function for AWS Lambda or Google Cloud Compute or anything like that. You just define a single function. It's going to get past the arguments in this event object and some context information about the execution environment, maybe environment variables, and a callback function where you can send back the response. And all of this is going to happen over the Lightning Network. And so it's a way to route essentially what is mirrored as HTTP requests and responses over the Lightning Network. And so you can charge a certain amount of Satoshis per execution and basically earn money by providing services to other users on the Lightning Network. And so this was just an example of what a function might look like. This is an example we'll see later, which is just the fee estimator using Blockstream API underneath, which isn't so interesting. Ideally, you'd write your own innovative fee estimator that other people might want to use and pay you for. But let's hop over into the World Computer desktop app and see how you might turn this into a monetized API to be used on the Lightning Network. And so you can just come into the app and click Add Function. And from here, you're going to browse your directory to find the function you just wrote. In this case, it's the blockchain fee estimate folder that I created here. And when I open it, it's going to parse the package.json and extract the name and a description and set some defaults for you. And so here you can set how many Satoshis you'd like to charge per execution. And in theory, this should probably be some kind of base fee, and you should probably also be able to charge for execution time. So if it's something that takes a long time to compute, you might want to charge per 100 milliseconds. So something like 10 Satoshis per 100 milliseconds of execution. But for now and for demo purposes, it's just a single fee you set for execution. So in this case, it's 1 Satoshi to get fee estimate from my node. And here's the runtime for now. Again, because it's a demo, it just supports Node.js, but in theory, it can support any programming runtime that we want. And then these two fields act as sort of documentation for users of your API. So you can show them an example of what the input might look like and what the output you're going to give them looks like, so that in their programs, when they use your API, they know how to use it and what to expect. And so when I click Add Function, it's going to create a new entry here on the left, and on the right, you'll see the details for this function. And so it's going to generate a globally unique ID for this function. And this is how other developers who want to use your function will call it. And so they'll use a combination of your pub key and this ID to call this function. And then as long as they send the right amount of sats, they'll get a response. And so it also provides a place for you to test your function. So you can do some debugging and try different inputs and see what you get to make sure it's working as you expect. So I can click execute and I can see I get this estimates object with Satoshi per byte estimates for 1, 6, and 24 blocks as target confirmations. Down here, we'll see later, but it's a way to see kind of the requests that you have received from other nodes and how much they paid and what their input looked like and kind of when they happen. So you can kind of keep tabs on what's going on with your API endpoints and sort of act as logs and debug information. And so as part of this demo, I already set up 5 of these functions. So I'll just go ahead and delete this new one. And you'll see there's this overview screen here where you can see all of the functions you set up and how much Satoshis you've earned on each one, as well as up top, you can see the total number of requests you have served and how many Satoshis you've earned in total from all your functions. And if I go into one of these, you'll see like this is a function for getting the latest hash of the latest block on the blockchain. I've earned 212 Satoshis, and you can see the different executions here. It's not as interesting. In this case, you can see the different transactions that were broadcast in this demo. Okay, so with that said, this is sort of all you need to monetize an API. Now let's look at how, as a developer, you would actually use these API endpoints in an application that you were developing that wanted to use these Lightning Network powered API endpoints. So I created 5 example applications here for the API endpoints that I set up on this node. And so these are going to be, this other window over here is sort of, in this case, it's running in a browser, but it could be another desktop application. It doesn't really matter. And the point is, this is the other node that is going to make requests to this Lightning node for the data or whatever the application might be. And so we'll just take a look at a couple examples. In this one, the idea is someone wants to sell data essentially that they have access to. So in this case, it's data that everyone has access to, or almost everyone, which is the latest block hash on the blockchain. But in theory, this could be sensor data from a location, where you live that no one else has access to, or just other data that you've collected and compiled and want to sell. Like maybe it's historic stock market data or historic sports data, whatever it might be. You might want to sell data over the Lightning Network. So let's just go ahead and execute one of these functions over the Lightning Network. So when I click this, it's going to make a request to the Lightning node. And you can see every time I click it, on my back end here, the number of requests is going up, and how many Satoshis I earned is also going up. Looks like this one costs 3 Satoshis every time I make this request. And you can see this function is also incrementing. The next example is that fee estimation. So this one can be useful for light clients, really. If for any kind of wallet or app that doesn't have a mempool or doesn't track the mempool, it can be really difficult to calculate transaction fees when constructing a transaction. So this could be a way to buy good fee estimations over the Lightning Network. So you might want to pay a Satoshi, and in response, you're going to get really useful fee estimations to use for your transaction. So I can click estimate fees. You can see that this data updated, and I got back Satoshi per byte estimates depending on how aggressive I want to be and how fast I want my confirmation to confirm. And so each time I click this, I'm going to earn some more Satoshis by all the users that are requesting fees from me, and it works great. The third one is, the idea here is that you could broadcast transactions for people. So they could send you their hex or raw transaction over the Lightning Network, and you broadcast it for them. So in some ways, this could enhance privacy by having other nodes on the network relay your transactions to the P2P network. So I'll just go ahead and paste in a Bitcoin transaction hex. I click broadcast, and this responds with the transaction ID for that transaction. Here's another example as our old friend Satoshi Dice. You could do games or some kind of betting or system where basically the client puts in some input. In this case, you're guessing whether a number between Satoshi Dice is going to roll a dice that's between 1 and 100. If you're betting that it's going to be less than 50, and I'm wagering 1 Satoshi, so I can roll. It's going to update back here. Oh, the roll was a 78, so I lost, and I can just keep playing this game. And the requests will stream to whatever node is hosting this service. And so they're going to keep earning Satoshis, and I'm going to keep losing Satoshis, apparently. The last example I have here is sort of another idea of machine learning. So maybe someone developed a really cool machine learning model, and they want to sell access to it over the Lightning Network. So this is a really simple version of something like GPT-3 maybe, where you let someone provide input, and then they're gonna send that request to your Lightning node, and you're gonna finish the sentence or something like that. And so this is just another way developers in the machine learning field could kind of monetize their models by selling inference, providing inference for solutions basically to developers who like to use their model. So yeah, those are just 5 possible example apps I came up with. The possibilities are really endless, and I'm really excited to see what kind of services people can build and monetize with the Lightning Network. Thank you.